This is Real Talk Baseball. I'm Carlos Baseball. And with me is Will Power. We have an interesting show today. We're talking about the trading deadline. We have some trades that already happened with the Red Sox and the Phillies. You want to give them the details, Will, or should I just start and giving the names out?
Oh, go ahead, man.
All right, man. Well, the Phillies will acquire Brandon Workman, Heath Hembry. I hope I said it right. And then the Red Sox will acquire Nick Pivetta and Connor Seabold. So that's a trade that happened 2 days ago. And, hopefully they're looking for what they need, right? I don't know what the Red Sox are actually doing because they're not even in playoff contention. But I know the Phillies, they're looking to try to get back up in the East. I know they're not doing that well, but I know they're trying to get their team into the playoff mix because we have a lot of teams that can make it to the playoffs. And, the Phillies are just one of them that are trying to sell or they're trying to get their team a lot better.
Yeah, I think, living in the East Coast, in the Philadelphia area, I get to talk to a lot of Phillies fans over here. And, one thing that they're always complaining about is the bullpen and their starting pitching. And I think this was a good trade for the Phillies. I think that Brandon Workman, he's a solid reliever, and that's exactly what the Phillies need. They've had some bad luck with relievers, with Sir Anthony Dominguez that got hurt, a couple other injuries that they've already had.
Yeah.
Their starting pitching, it's just kind of gone downhill ever since they won the World Series back in 2008.
Yeah.
They had their ace in Cole Hamels, and after his contract was over, you're just going to sign whoever gives you the better deal. And I don't really see the Phillies making the playoffs as a serious contender anytime soon. Signing Bryce Harper was huge for them. A 13-year deal, that solidifies right field for the formidable future. I think that they have their another starter in Kingery. He's doing really good. He was a top prospect in their organization. He can play the outfield. He can play shortstop, third base. They have a couple of key players that they're definitely going to hold on to. And I really think it's time for the Phillies to really start that rebuild that they started with by signing Bryce Harper.
Yeah. What I said about them trying to make the playoffs is because they're only 4 games out, and they're in last place, but they're only 4 games out. So, they need to go ahead and start rebuilding. And I did see that the bullpen is not really doing as well as, other teams. They've given up like 13 runs in 18 innings, I believe. The 9th inning pitcher, I mean, that's something that they need to work on for sure. And
Brandon Workman was a good compliment to Hector Neris, their closer. Neris is a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like a top 10 closer by any means. I see him more as like a setup guy. They do need that closer, the closing pitcher. And some teams, they can find it in crazy places like the Padres that we were talking about before. And we'll see, man. I really think that the Phillies have a good future just because Girardi now taking over as their manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former catcher. And he's a former Yankee manager, So a guy with that type of resume, he's going to be really good for the clubhouse. And hopefully the Phillies hang on to him for, a few years to come.
So you think they're sellers?
I think they're sellers.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that the biggest trading chip that the Phillies have is Realmuto.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of Phillies fans, they want him to sign to a long-term deal. But you got to realize that this guy is, 27, 28 years old, and he's really only going to be in his prime for the next 2 or 3 years. Now, are you guys going to be World Series contenders in the next 2 or 3 years? I highly doubt that. So Realmuto is a free agent after this season. Yeah. And he's going to sign probably with a different team because he doesn't really see the future in the next couple of years being so bright with the Phillies. So honestly, if I'm a buyer, Realmuto is a perfect fit for any team. He is the best catcher in baseball. He has the best bat, and he has really solid defensive skills, including that arm. Yeah. So, honestly, I really think that the Dodgers should really make a go for him. You got Will Smith, and you have Austin Barnes as their backstops. But Will Smith, he's been very unproductive lately. He just went on the IL. He just came back, and he hit a home run in his first at bat back.
Yeah.
And that's great and all. He does hit a few home runs, but no one comes close to Realmuto in today's game. You got guys like Gary Sanchez that'll hit 40 home runs, but with a 220 average
Yeah.
and a hell of a lot more strikeouts. And his defensive skills are so bad. He's more of a DH, honestly, in my opinion. But imagine, honestly, I see that the Dodgers' only weak spot is catcher.
Catcher spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, but I don't agree that the Dodgers should give up a lot of prospects and a lot of things for Realmuto.
Honestly, like I've been thinking about it a lot, and there's one guy that really comes to mind that's kind of shined a little bit lately that the Phillies could really use, and that's Edwin Rios.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Dodgers' plans are for their third base because Justin Turner is about to become a free agent also. If I was the Dodgers, I would sign him for another couple years just because he hasn't slowed down at all. He gets hurt, a couple times throughout the year, but he's only gone for 2-3 weeks and then he comes right back. And in the playoffs, he always shows up. He's one guy that you can count on to always have that good, solid contact.
Yeah, that's true. So
it's very rare to find guys like that. The consistency in baseball is very hard to find. It's all about hot streaks and cold streaks. And when you find a guy like that, hold on to him.
Yeah, that's true. And so you're saying the Phillies are going to sell in Realmuto. That's a good one for any team, actually. Like any team that goes after him, but they are going to have to pay something for him. I know for sure it's not going to be something, oh, yeah, you go catcher for catcher. No, you're going to have to get a pitcher, catcher, and outfielder for him because he is a big name and he is a free agent. So you're only renting him for 30 games.
Exactly.
Remember that. And that's the teams that are buyers really need to think about it, need to really think about, are we going to really spend so many players on one individual player? And is this player going to make the difference in the playoffs? So that's things we got to think about.
What I've noticed that the Dodgers do is they'll bring up a prospect for a few games. If it's a position player, they'll bring him up for a couple of weeks to spot an injury. Or if it's a pitcher, they'll bring him up, in relief to pitch a few innings or as a starter and pitch maybe 1 or 2 games. And another trading chip that I think that the Dodgers really have that could be used towards the Realmuto trade is Tony Gonsolin. Tony Gonsolin, he's a really good pitcher, and his value is so high right now. You really don't know what the future holds for Tony Gonsolin. He's not like a top prospect by any means, But if you were to package a trade for Tony Gonsolin, which they need starting pitching, and Edwin Rios that can play first, third, and outfield, that's I really think that is a perfect trade scenario for both teams.
Oh man, that would be a nice trade for me. I like it, but 30 games, come on, I don't know. 30 games, well, we'll watch, right? We'll watch and we'll see.
Like you could even trade Austin Barnes along with the trade if you're going to get Realmuto, because you also have Keibert Ruiz that's coming up.
Ruiz, yeah.
And the Dodgers farm system looks so good that these players that come up and go down and come up and go down, it's like when they come up, they shine. And it shows other teams like, look, this is what this guy can do. If you want him, you got to give us what we need.
That's true. You hit a point right there, man.
Even if they were to package a deal with Tony Gonsolin and Edwin Rios and then throw Austin Barnes in the mix, I don't think that would be such a big deal also, especially because Realmuto, he seems like a smart dude, and you never know. Dodgers could sign him for a 4 or 5 year deal after this rental. The same thing that they did with Mookie Betts,
Mm-hmm.
How can you not want to be on a team with 3 former MVPs?
Man. I mean, you're just making me feel like, oh damn, if they go after this trade, that's pretty dope. That'll be like the all-star team right there.
Yeah.
To be honest, seriously. So yeah, that's one of the things about tradings. You fantasize about players and you're like, yeah, this player would be good on this team, and then you're thinking about like the Phillies because they're on the East Coast. That's where you're at, and you're talking about Realmuto. I didn't even think about that until you started bringing it up. So you got me all excited over here. So then, hey, what about the other one about Mike Clevinger, dude? What's up with that?
Oh
one?
Man,
yeah.
I don't even know like how legit this really is because I read it on a Yankees writer's website.
Yeah.
So I really believe when I hear things from Ken Rosenthal or certain other like MLB personnel, but this guy that writes for the Yankees, he said that there have been trade talks between the Yankees and Cleveland. That the Yankees are trying to get Francisco Lindor and Mike Clevinger, and possibly send over Miguel Andujar and Gleyber Torres. So
Man, oh man,
that's pretty big, man.
that's a
The
huge
Yankees,
trade.
that's huge. That's a blockbuster trade right there.
Yeah, so Mike Clevenger and Lindor. Oh my God, Lindor's like on top of his game. He's a top shortstop.
Yeah, but the thing with Lindor is that's another rental. So if they get rid of Gleyber Torres, what's going to go on with shortstop after Lindor, after his contract is over? Are they just going to throw a bunch of money at him and hope for the best,
And
and
see
try
if
to
he
sign
stays,
him
right?
for a huge deal?